Joining us now is Jim Alpiser. He's the Director of Aviation Aftermarket Sales for Garmin. And Garmin, Jim, is one of those ubiquitous names. If you've got a boat, you've got a car, or if you've got an airplane, chances are there's something Garmin attached to that.
You know, we make a lot of really great products for a lot of different personalities, if you will, and I think we're fortunate on the aviation side of the world that you can be an aviator and still play in all these other markets that we serve as well. So some people who drive around boats, that's all they do is just drive around boats. But,
I have followed magenta lines in both my boat and my car.
There you go.
So there we go. We're all good. But this week you came out with kind of the hot new thing, which was the angle of attack indicator.
Yep.
Why has it taken so long for this angle of attack concept to come to general aviation?
You know, that's a really good question. It's been a really popular thing for commercial operations as well as military, and it's a really intuitive piece of equipment and display option that's it's life-saving technology, quite honestly, and so we're really delighted to bring this new technology, or not new technology, this existing technology down to a level that's affordable for all of general aviation. I know that the experimental home-built crowd has really gravitated towards angle of attack indication because it just makes sense. It shows, regardless of whether you're in a steep turn or an accelerated turn, our angle of attack technology is really able to kind of make sure that you've got a good visualization of what's going on with the angle of your wing as it relates to a potential stall. So,
what are the components that go into the AOA indicator?
So for our system, what we include is a angle of attack probe. We have that available as both a unheated or heated version. It's also good for 14-volt aircraft or 28-volt aircraft. We have different variants there depending on what type of aircraft you're operating. We also have a air data module that comes with our kit, and then of course finally the display indicator, and it's an LED display indicator with green, yellow, and red indication, basically pointing down if you start getting into that critical angle of attack. We also are going to provide a mounting plate for the AOA probe, so it's a real easy thing to install. Somebody can basically put in this mounting plate in an existing inspection hole for the aircraft, and run the plumbing through the inside of the aircraft via the wing, and put the display up on the glare shield, where you're looking outside when you're looking at the, looking for that place to land or looking for that place to put it down, and off you go. So it's really great technology, really life-saving type of potential with it. And I was just flying out here to Nashville for the show, and I was flying in a Cirrus aircraft, and it had been a little while since I had flown, quite honestly, and I thought to myself, as I overshot my base to final turn, I was like, this is when I need AOA, because naturally, instinctively, I'm kind of overcorrecting, or I want to overcorrect,
right.
But I would be able to very much clearly see that green, yellow, red indication. So as I bank the aircraft, it doesn't really matter what we're compensating for that. So we've got a really great way to do the angle of attack indication.
How does it work? How does the connection from the probe to the indicator?
Yeah, so the probe to the indicator is really straightforward and simple. We've just got some plumbing, some tubing that will go from the probe itself to the air data module, and then feed that information over into the indicator. So you've got basically a couple of wires running between the air data module into the display, and then the plumbing that goes from the tube into the air data computer. We're measuring, doing some differential pressure measuring, and then it's just able to do its calculations from there.
Why? And you've sort of answered this, but I want to kind of bring home this point as to why it's important to have this kind of information in the cockpit.
Yeah. So the critical phases of flight are really when angle of attack is the most important, and as you're coming in for landing, as things are getting busy, it's easy to kind of get distracted, and maybe the tower calls out traffic, or maybe the crosswind is not quite what you expected, and you overshoot your base to final turn, and again, that natural tendency is to potentially overcorrect so you can come in right on final. But if you don't want to get your airplane turned too steeply, that's an accelerated turn environment. Your stall speed actually isn't probably what you think it is at that point.
Right.
It's easier to stall the aircraft when you start getting at that steeper angle there. And so we can give you that visualization based on that accelerated turn if you're getting to a critical angle or not. And that'll let you know, okay, I need to put the nose down to keep the airflow running over the wing correctly, or whether you're good on airspeed.
Let's talk about the obvious thing, and that's price, because you want to make this kind of technology affordable to the average pilot. Where is this device priced? Yeah,
so it's a no-brainer price-wise. It's basically $1,500 for the version, the unheated AOA probe, and then if you want the version that has the heated AOA probe, then it's $1,649. So it's really inexpensive technology for the benefit that it can provide, and then. It's just life-saving technology at a great price.
What did it take to bring this product to market?
Just a little bit of engineering and software development and hardware development, but we've been working on the AOA probe for a little bit of time. It's actually, I wouldn't say several years. It's been over the course of a little bit more than a year. We've been working on this, and so the timing is just perfect. I mean, we were coming right down the home stretch for the product development, and then last month the FAA released that letter that relaxed the criteria for installing AOA. So that really eased the burden on companies like Garmin, that we can be developing this hardware and not have to take it through all the rigorous testing and certification process, and so we can keep the price low. If we had to do all the certification around this hardware, that is going to at least double, if not triple, the price of the cost of the system by the time it comes to the market. Because there's so much paperwork that's really, it's good proven technology anyway, so we're just able to come out with it quickly based on the FAA's relaxed criteria.
Is there any requirement for an STC or anything for installation?
For the right aircraft, most general aviation, kind of the lighter side of general aviation aircraft, there's not going to be any STC consideration. So most Part 23 aircraft, you'll be able to, based on an approval letter that's pending with the FAA right now, once we get that approval letter, it'll basically just be kind of a field approval, if you will, just a brief sign-off.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the new Radar Altimeter that you also introduced this week. What is different about the Radar Altimeter that you've brought out?
Well, the price is probably the greatest thing about the new Radar Altimeter, but honestly, the performance capability that it offers is tremendous as well. So, again, there's actually new rules that are in place now for the helicopter operators, that they have to have radar altimetry in the aircraft. I'm trying to remember the exact day or time of the year, but I think it's a couple years away now that they're going to have that installed. So the window of opportunity is fairly short, where they need to, everybody that's flying a Part 135 operation helicopter, they need to have a radar altimeter in the aircraft. So we wanted to make sure that we had a high quality and affordable product on the market, and a little bit more than a year ago, we actually came out with our GRA 5500, which is a high-end radar altimeter. Sells for quite a bit more money, but it also has a lot more capabilities, interface capabilities, environmental testing, and things like that. We've run that thing through the ringer, but what we've done is we've taken that same technology that we developed for the high-end system, and we've been able to kind of repackage that in a much lower cost form factor, and so it's a fraction of the price. So the individual sensor for we call it the GRA 55, it sells for $69.95 just for the sensor itself. Now you need to have a display for that, and you can display that on a Garmin flight display like a G500H, G600, G1000, any of our flight display products. And then if you don't have a Garmin flight display product, we also came out with a new remote indicator. And that remote indicator sells for $39.95. It's got great viewing angle on it. It's already invis compatible, and it actually even has a little trend indication. So whether you're climbing or descending, you'll get a kind of a graphical indication of what's going on, measuring that distance above the ground. So it's a really great product. It's digital signal processing, and so it's the newest radar altimeter design on the market. And installers, when it comes to installation of the product, the installers are going to love it, because in most cases it's probably going to require less wiring. Some radar altimeters require you to kind of have very exact measurements of wire that that go between the antenna and the hardware itself. Ours is a lot more flexible from that standpoint, and so we can actually take a lot of the weight out of the installation based on a more precise wire cut.
When you look at the overall situation with certification and products, and I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit more broadly about the avionics industry as opposed to specifically Garmin products, but what do you see as some of the biggest stumbling blocks in this industry to getting new products out on the market?
The biggest stumbling block is, gosh, that's an interesting question. Honestly, it's resources. We've got a lot of really great ideas still in the hopper, and we are always looking for bright, brilliant engineers to join our team. Because we've got a lot of really great ideas. But the next, more tangible stumbling block has been certification, and so anytime we have that opportunity to see relaxed criteria for installation or certification, that allows us the opportunity to bring products out more quickly, like we did with the AOA. And I know there's this Part 23 rewrite that's underway. Garmin's a very active participant and supportive of that Part 23 rewrite because we're like everybody else. We're all pilots. We want to be able to get products that are affordable for the type of aircraft that we're flying, and not everything needs to be perf tested and lightning tested to the levels that we're testing today, because currently the regulations don't differentiate between what's going into a transport category aircraft versus a lighter side aircraft to some level anyway. So certainly there's software differentiation and level A software, which is the highest criteria for like a primary flight display, things like that. But for some of these other things, Radar Altimeter, for example, and AOA, it's nice to see that criteria get relaxed a little bit for the AOA.
How do you see the kinds of products that you're developing now to perhaps those ASTM standards like this, the AOA indicator? Do you see that as giving Garmin and really that kind of avionics in general a better entree into the general aviation cockpit?
Say that again for me.
Do you see these kinds of things when you talk about the ASTM standards as opposed to the full Part 23 certification standards? Do you see that it really is giving pilots an opportunity to bring more technology into their cockpits and really make their airplane safer?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's anytime the regulations can get relaxed like that, it allows our creativity to open up and kind of find the most efficient way, as opposed to putting a lot of additional cost in something because of unnecessary burden per se. So it's a refreshing change that I think the industry is about to get.
If you were to look into a crystal ball, and you're kind of in the crystal ball business,
sure.
What would you see coming 5 years down the road as we get into that 2020 time frame when the ADS-B mandate is going to kick in?
Yeah, it's I think we've got Garmin's got a great lineup of ADS-B products out there today, and at some point we're at the Aircraft Electronics Convention here today, and a lot of installation facilities are with us today, and they're seeing actually their facilities getting busier. Which is great. That means number one, it means the economy is improving, and it means that people are spending a little bit more money on their aircraft, but I also think it means people are flying a little bit more. But guess what? We've got this mandate coming up, and that mandate, by 2020, everybody needs to be ADS-B equipped. So a lot of these facilities that we're visiting with here today are going to get really busy over the next few years. So I'm encouraging anybody that, do it now. The price for products, in the ADS-B world are about as reasonable as they could be, considering if you wait, your price for labor is going to go way up, because it's a supply and demand game when it comes to labor. And if shops are having to prioritize, their prices are probably going to go up. And it's a pretty darn good price, kind of like interest rates now. Interest rates right now,
yeah.
They're still at some of their lowest levels. And honestly, the labor rates, a lot of our avionics shops are at their lowest levels right now too. So But getting back to your question about what else is going to happen in 5 years, it's it's a good question. I think there's going to be more integration that happens with different technologies and different products, and I think you're going to see I know connectivity is a buzzword. Applications continue to be a hot topic, and Garmin's making great advancements with our Garmin Pilot application. We've just added synthetic vision to that. We've got integration with our new action camera. So Garmin has a kind of like a GoPro camera. We've got an action camera called the Verb, and we can actually display imagery from being shot from that Garmin Verb onto the Garmin Pilot application. So again, that natural integration is just going to be the trend over the next few years, and better connectivity, things like that, I think are on the horizon as well.
Excellent. Jim Alpiser, thank you very much for taking some time to talk with us today here at the AEA Convention. Really appreciate your time.
Pleasure. Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you.
Cheers.
AeroTV's coverage of the 57th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from Nashville, Tennessee, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors. The Evolution Flight Display System from Aspen Avionics delivers unique reliability and safety features to GA pilots and is truly the most flexible and affordable EFIS available. Aspen Avionics, a new way to look at avionics. AML introduces the 100, the first Wi-Fi only router designed to work with most SATCOM systems. Amazingly small with 8 to 48 volt DC input, the 100 supports almost any application across multiple platforms. AML's line means you're not limited to one phone manufacturer, as it works with all Wi-Fi enabled devices. www.aviationmodificationleaders.com